Okay, hello everybody. This is our first kind of video for CPSC 06. Um, I'm your professor, Greg Hogan, and I'm one of the computer science faculty at Merced College. There is another full-time faculty that does computer science. Her name is Kathy Kanemoto, um, and she teaches basically half the classes, and I teach basically half the classes. And we have like one part-timer that does a couple classes every semester. Um, so anyway, this is CPSC 06, which is a first semester programming class for the Java programming language. And yeah, so almost everybody who is planning on being a computer science major starts in this class. Some people choose to take CPSC 14 instead, which is essentially the same class, but they use the C++ programming language. It doesn't really make a difference here at Merced College which one you do. And you can even take first semester Java like you're doing now, and you could take second semester C++ if you feel like it. So not a huge deal. So what are we doing today? Well, in this first kind of Zoom meeting, basically all I really want to do is go over the syllabus and the course policies and everything. So that way, everybody who's in this class, because it's an online class, knows like what they're going to be expected to do every week, right? That's kind of probably what you want to know the most. Um, yeah, so with that said, let's kind of look at what I've got on the page here, and then we'll jump into the syllabus here. So let's see, first Zoom meeting, right? That's right now. So obviously found that because you came here. I forgot to send out an announcement about that, but the recording will be posted for people who are not here. Also, any kind of Zoom meetings that we do have for this class are going to be optional, which means you're not obligated to be here at all for Zoom meetings live. Um, and they'll just be recorded and you can watch them later. Also, I mean, I understand that a lot of students will also kind of skip videos and stuff if they don't feel like watching them, if they can do their work for the week. And there's not really going to be anything that forces you to even watch all of the videos or anything. Nevertheless, we will generally have lectures on Tuesdays and Thursdays. They should be live, kind of like this is. They may vary a little bit in time, um, but the recordings will be posted. So anybody that's not here for this one will be able to watch it later. And I'm going to do another one on Thursday, and the same deal will be there. Like anybody can watch it later. And so, yeah, that's all what it says here. Videos will be live when possible. You're not required to watch them live. Every week you have work that's due. You'll see that momentarily. And also, there'll be office hours live on Zoom several times per week. And those are posted, but it looks like, oh yeah, they're linked down here. So I'll try to link these in every week. Um, so every week when you come here, there's going to be a page like this page, although it's not going to have a lot of first day stuff on the page every week. So it'll be mostly kind of like the bottom section here, where I just post an introduction, kind of like this first week thing is, office hours, and then you'll have your lectures down in the bottom, and they'll be labeled lecture one, lecture two, typically two per week. And if there's a live Zoom link, then it will be linked like this one is. And if there are any files that you need, those will also be linked there as well. So like I can already tell you that on Thursday, we're going to be going over kind of like a set of lecture slides that are an introduction to the Java programming language and computing in general. And those lecture slides will be linked here at the bottom in the lecture too. So when you come here on Thursday or after Thursday, you'll find a Zoom link, a recording, if it's afterwards, and you'll find the lecture slides so you can follow along. Also, I will generally link all of the assignments that are due in a particular week, usually in its own section that says like assignments. Uh, this time they're linked up here in this first week section, but that's what these are. current assignments. Um, so that's what you'll generally see when you come here is something like this. Now, if we go into the syllabus, we'll see more about the class. I opened up the CPSC-06 12106 section, but there's two online sections that I'm teaching, 12106 and 12107. They should be identical. I usually write anything in one of them and then I move it to the other one so that it's in both places. So if you're not in 12106, but 12107, it doesn't make a difference. We're looking at the same things. Okay. So if you look here on the side, sorry, there's Zoom stuff in the way that probably you can't see, but I can. If you look at the course description here, this is kind of what you'd expect to see in an introductory programming class. So it's going to introduce the discipline of computer science using a high-level language. So the high-level language that we're using is going to be Java. And so the rest of this here, it says like methodologies for program design, development, style, testing, documentation, algorithms, blah, blah, blah. I mean, all that is stuff that a programmer would want to know, but we don't expect you to know anything coming into this about programming. If you already have done some programming in another language, that will make this class easier, obviously, but it's not expected that you know anything. So we go through everything from like the beginning, basically. So our first kind of labs are going to be like, let's get the software running and, just how do we press the button to make the thing work, right? That's where we start in a class like this. Now, looking at this, you can find my information. So, of course, my name is there. My email address is there in the syllabus. And, you can email me if you need to, or you can use Canvas like we're in here, and there's like a Canvas inbox. It says 912 unread messages. That's because if you do send me a message on Canvas, it'll go to my email as well, and I will generally reply in my email, and then it will end up in your Canvas inbox. But I'll use my email typically. So email or Canvas inbox is a good way to contact me. The phone, that's my office phone, except that we are using Zoom phones now, and I would probably have to be at a computer with Zoom running to take a phone call. So if you call that, you'll probably just end up at voicemail, which you can leave a voicemail, but it's probably easier just to email rather than call and leave a voicemail. My office hours are here. These are what's linked in the office hours page. They are live, actually, like physically in my office, which is Science 223 on the Merced campus, but also they're on Zoom. So like today is Tuesday, so 4:30 to 5:30, I'll be on Zoom as well. And you'd have to check the office hours page to get the Zoom link for that. But I mean, I will generally be there and on Zoom during my regularly scheduled office hours. So they're on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays because those are the days that I teach classes. Um, so if you have extra questions or anything, you can come by those and get help with anything. Yeah, so prerequisites. So there's not a lot for this class, right? So the prerequisite is just intermediate algebra. Um, Honestly, there's not really a big reason for that. There could even be like no math requirement, although, if you're really, really, really bad at math, then you might have trouble understanding, programming in general. But we don't really rely on any math for this class. Just kind of like logic of, how you would accomplish something step by step really is the only thing you need to um, be okay at. The advisory of CPSC 06, or sorry, 01, doesn't matter. CPSC 01 is like a really basic like introduction to kind of computers. And so you can kind of think of that advisory as being you should be able to operate a computer. That's probably it. Um, the core student learning outcomes here. Every class has these at Merced College, student learning outcomes. And these are just what you're supposed to be learning in the class, basically at a relatively high level. So, like we should be able to, create programs basically that do simple things. SLOB, we should be able to create algorithms for solving problems. That means coming up with a plan or a procedure to solve a problem, which obviously, if you're going to write a program to solve a problem, you had to um, figure out what your program should do, right? So that's all that SLOB is. Uh, we'll do some of this, summarizing evolution of programming languages. That's probably going to be in your lecture on Thursday, actually. Uh, Compose different forms of binding, visibility, scoping, lifetime management. That's really kind of understanding a little bit about like how variables are working under the hood and when your computer is allocating memory for them and when they're going away, like that kind of thing. It's kind of more and more important as the semester goes, but you're not really going to have to think about that a lot in this class. And lastly, analyzing basic industry standards pertaining to computer science and programming. And that's really just, over the course of the semester, we'll talk somewhat about, what our expectations uh, you know, for the business side of things, right? If you're gonna try to get a job in computer science. Although, in 2025, uh, how jobs are gonna look going forward is kind of an open question, right? We don't really know what computer science people are going to be doing in 5 years. I mean, that doesn't mean they're not going to be doing anything. It's just what they're going to be doing in 5 years is a little bit different than what they were doing 5 years ago, right? AI is really changing a lot of how people are doing things. But yeah, so those are the things that we're supposed to be learning in this class. And we scroll down here. Oh, there's a typo in here. I forgot about this. I fixed it in my other one, but not this one. So I'll fix it right now, actually. So the textbook here, wherever that is, going to it. This is kind of the textbook, but I listed the wrong name up here. I listed the one from my other class. But everything else was accurate. I'm just going to write programming fundamentals or something like that. I just don't want it to say the other class's name, CPSC 42. All right, let's scroll back down to it. So regarding the textbook, this is probably the most important thing to learn today is just what the textbook is going to be like how this is going to be working. Uh, so if I scroll down a little bit to the grading here, then you'll see that I've got a normal 90, 80, 70, type grading scale here. And then on the right side, you can see the weights that I have for every category of assignment that you're going to be doing in this class. So the categories are tests, which are going to be basically just multiple choice Canvas quizzes. So you'll take those online. I'm not going to do anything special like in terms of like security or anything like that. So you'll just be able to sit down, uh, take your multiple choice test, get whatever grade you get, right? So you can look up the answers if there's enough time to do that, um, and get a good score on it. There's no kind of lockdown browser or anything like that. No webcams required. The tests are not designed that way. So, generally speaking, these exams are not really going to be like a huge issue for people. Like, you don't need to worry about them a lot. There'll be a practice test, and you should go through the practice test a couple of times to make sure that everything makes sense for you. And then there'll be a real test that has like a limited number of tries. Typically, you'll get, only 2 tries on the real test, and your highest score will count. And the real test will be similar to the practice test. So people generally score quite well on the tests in this class. What I can say is that, you know, people who have been keeping up with their work tend to do quite well on the tests. And people that have not been turning in assignments because nobody can really hold your hand and walk you through everything and make you do your work. The people that are not completing their work, those people maybe are not going to do so well on the tests. Um, but by and large, the scores are quite high. So lots of like 80%, 90%, that kind of thing, 100% even on the tests. So they're not really super stressful. Uh, the next category listed is it says like research, industry standards, miscellaneous. So these are going to be kind of assignments that don't fall into another category. So for example, there is a discussion board post this week that you need to do by Friday, actually, and that's going to be in this category. And so there's going to be more discussion board posts going forward as well. And those kinds of things are going to be in this particular category. And that's 10% of your grade. So typically, if you do these things, you're going to have full credit. They're not a big deal. You do want to make sure that you do them all because um, there might not be too many of these assignments. And if there's not too many of these assignments, then each one is kind of more important, right, to your grade. So you wouldn't want to skip these, or it could affect your grade negatively more than you think. But really, the last three categories here, labs, zyBooks reading, zyBooks homework, this is really where like your grade is coming from, right? This is your weekly work. So, for example, we already have a lab this week that's due next Thursday, so you have lots of time. And also, there's no work for it, so that helps too. But you have labs every week, and they're going to add up to 25% of your grade. And so you kind of need to be doing those, right? Because 25% of your grade is a lot. Again, typically, if you're doing them, you're generally going to be getting 100% on them. Okay. Um, as long as you've finished everything that you're supposed to finish. And so there's going to be labs every single week, including this week. The last two categories, zyBooks reading, zyBooks homework, those are the ones that have to do with this textbook I'm talking about. Now, if you look at this, hopefully you can realize that the reading here is listed as 20% of your grade, and the homework is listed as 15% of your grade. So that's 35% of your grade right there, just from this textbook stuff. What that's telling you is that this is not optional, okay? You must have access to this online textbook thing in order to do your work on a week-to-week basis. That's where a lot of your time in this class is spent, is in doing these readings and homework. And every semester we have people who they register at the beginning of the semester and they wait until the end of the semester, and then all of a sudden they're trying to get an entire semester's worth of this stuff done. And you just can't do it. It's not really possible. We also have people that sign up for this class and they never actually gain access to the textbook. And so they're going to be losing 35% of their grade, which means they can't pass um, before we've even started anything. Okay. That's not good. So you need to understand that you do need access to this textbook. Now I'm scrolling up to where it is. Um, and we're going to look at it actually because, again, this is kind of important here. Now, um, the textbook, do I have, hold on a second. I'm going to stop the share and then get back in a second. I just need a text editor or something, but okay. No, do I have a notes app? Where can I type? Okay. Sorry. Where am I? Okay, I will be back one, not, I will be back. I'm about to click the button. Okay. Um, so I just wanted a place where I could type things. Um, so what are we talking about here for the textbook? So basically the textbook works like this. So two ways, that's too big. Two ways to get textbook. So one is going to be um, Smart Start, which if you were a student previously, Smart Start used to be called Follett Access, and it's a program that the school has for getting people their textbooks for a flat fee, basically. So formally, Follett Access. I misspelled Follett, but who cares? So the way this works is they would give you, you give them, or you pay 2150 per unit you take for all of your classes. So that's not you can't just do it for one class. It's for every class. So you pay 2150 per unit you take for all of your classes. And then what you get is the bookstore gives you all of your materials, including Follett access codes. Okay. The other way to get that, the other way to get your book is just if you opt out, you can just buy your book or buy your access for mm, it's 64 bucks. So those are your two possibilities for getting the book for this class, essentially. So either you stay in Smart Start where they're going to charge you 2150 per unit for all of your classes. So if you're taking, 12 units of classes, they're going to charge you whatever 12 times 2150 is, right? So like it'd be like 250 bucks or something. Or if you're taking, 16 units, well, now they're charging you more, right? Um, Now, if you opt out of Smart Start, then you're responsible for all of your materials and you'll have to buy your books somewhere. You'll have to buy your access to Zybooks, which is our book, separately. Now, just kind of a comment here is I believe you probably yesterday an email from the bookstore that included a code for our Zybooks book. Okay. If you use that, then you're probably not going to be able to opt out, I would imagine. So only use that code if you do want to stay in Smart Start. Okay. Because if you try to opt out of Smart Start, they're going to say, well, we already gave you some of your materials, so you have to return them. And these are one-time use codes that you type in the code and it gives you access to the Zybooks. So if you use the code, then you're not going to be able to obviously return it, right? So just think about it a little bit, whether you want to opt out of Smart Start, in which case you'll need to buy the textbook for $64 from the system. I'll show you it in a minute. Or you stay in Smart Start and just understand that they're going to be charging you 21.50 per unit for every single class you're taking at Merced College. And it doesn't matter how expensive or cheap the books are for that class, you're still going to get charged 21.50 per unit, right? So, which way is cheaper for you? Staying in Smart Start or opting out of Smart Start? Uh, that depends on which classes you're teaching or which classes you're taking, right? So like I can't do the math for you or tell you what to do. I can just say that this is the way it works. And coming back to where's Chrome? Coming back here, if like if I click on the home button for, oh, it doesn't show it anymore. Dang. Well, yesterday it was showing a big thing up here. Where's the ribbon? Yesterday there was a big ribbon on the top that was a notification that if you wanted to opt out of Smart Start, you had until I believe September 8th to do that, right? So hopefully you see that when you log into Canvas here. Yeah, don't know why that's gone now, but that's the way it works. So hopefully that made some kind of sense. You're going to have to think about which way you want to get your books. Um, are there questions about that right now? I'm gonna show you the textbook in a second, but I want to make sure.
Hello?
Yeah, hold on. Let me make you louder. Yeah.
So I believe I was already doing like the Smart Start and on the Follett website when
Hmm.
I go to like check the book, instead of like I don't know how it like to access like the code that pays for it because it says print next to it. Like most of my because I'm taking mostly online digital classes
They
and
should
next
have
to
emailed it to you.
yes, and then like when I put in the code on there, it just lets me view it, and then it says like the week one is free, and then everything after that is like available to subscribers, and then it's like only the
Okay, so
or is
uh
there like a place on there where we can because I'm not sure where to find that like access key, at least in the email, because it just shows like the code for the book, not like the access key.
no, okay, so the code for the book, when you say code for the book, there's hold on. Like this is kind of the code for the book, the thing that I highlighted here. That's the book that we're doing. You have like you should have an email that lists like some number of random characters that is like your personal registration code.
Right.
We can talk about like we can look at it later, like after this is done, and if you wanted, or like you can come to office hours and
Okay.
we can do it that way. But and one of the things that's annoying about Zybooks is that because I'm not a student, there's actually no way for me to view exactly what you view. Um, but if I click home here, the way this should work for everybody is when you want to, you know, get access to the Zybooks, you should just find an assignment that uses Zybooks, which down here, um, these two middle ones, week one reading, week one homework, those are the Zybooks assignments. And I know that like, you've clicked on one because you were talking about the like chapter one stuff. So, but this is for everybody. If you click on one of these middle assignments here, week one reading, week one homework, they will take you over to, well, they take you here. And then this is just kind of the same stuff I already told you. And if you click the load week one reading in a new window, um, I don't usually use Chrome, so hopefully this works. It'll take you here. Now, the difference from what I'm seeing to what you guys will see as students is when you first do this, you'll probably see this, but over here on the right side, there's going to be like a like a bar here that takes up the right side of the screen, and it's going to say like um, do you want to pay us $64 somewhere? Um, but also on that same section where it says like, hey, do you want to give us 64 bucks, blah, blah, blah. I think below that, there's another section that says if you have a code, you can enter a code. And so yesterday in my face-to-face class, I had a student who was trying to like they wanted just to get everything registered right now. And they they went to their email. They found the email from Smart Start, Followed Access, whatever it is. Um, and in that email, they scrolled down and there was the code that they could use. They copy pasted or they copied the code from the email. They pasted it over here into the place where you could type in the code. They hit the button and it was just a done deal at that point. Um, so that's how it's supposed to work. Now, if the bookstore has not emailed you the code that you need, then you might have to contact the bookstore, like email, um, and get it that way because it's really been a mess in previous years as far as getting those out. Like we used to have students, 2 weeks into the semester and they're still trying to get the code because the bookstore never emailed it to them. So they have to, like, they had to go into the bookstore and actually like pick up like a little card or something with the code printed on it.
I believe that's what they're saying in the email because it tells me that I ordered it and like the ID of the book, but it doesn't come with the code. So I might just have to go to the
There was
bookstore and like
so
get like the code.
I'm gonna just do a Google here. MCCD wallet.
Because I found where you put in the code. I just looked in throughout the emails and I couldn't find the code. So I think I might just have to go to the bookstore in person to get the code.
Possibly, but I'm trying to look for the names of people here because dang it, it does say Zybooks are physical print codes that have to be picked up at the bookstore.
Well,
But
that answers the question.
well, it says that, but again, like there was a student that had it and they had an email from there's the woman who's in charge of the Smart Start program at the bookstore. I think her name's Helen something. I think she has like I think she has an H first name and an H last name. So like Helen something. Um, maybe I should find the bookstore here. MCCD bookstore. Bookstore. But maybe not. Or I could look in my own email. She probably has an email from me. Helen Hansen. Okay, so somebody saw it. Yeah, so um yeah, so in the chat somebody said Helen Hansen, and that's who they had a code for. And they had an email that was listed from them, and in that email they were able to find the code without having to go in and get it. So I would double check my email. Out of curiosity, did anybody in here have the code in their email that way? I did. Yeah. So at least one person did. So I would, okay, couple.
Oh, yes, it's from her. Yeah, I was looking at
Yeah. Yeah. Because you
the
wouldn't think so,
default
right? Because like,
right because that's just a
why should the
person.
email be her personal name? Right.
Yeah, I don't thank you.
So, but trust me, so if yeah, again, so only use that code if if you are planning on staying in the Smart Start program, because you may have trouble opting out because how do you return that if you've used it? But yeah, so that's it. So Helen Hansen, cool. Um,
Might want to add that to your little notepad. Check
I'm
your email
gonna
for Helen Hansen.
I'm gonna send it uh a text message, not text message. I'm gonna send like an announcement to everybody saying, hey, this is how Followed Access works or Smart Start. And if you are staying in it, look for the email from this person. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, so as we were talking about, we know that or I told you that the Zybooks is going to be like 35% of your grade, so you want to keep up with it. There's barely anything for the first week, of course, because I didn't know how well people were gonna, be able to get their codes and everything. But every week you have certain things here. So in the Zybooks, once you've gone on here and you registered for it and everything, then every week there's two assignments. So or one assignment is called reading, and that's how it's called in the grade book is going to be reading. And reading means the participation activities, and it says that various places. Like if I click back over here, when I first clicked the week one reading, it gave me here, and it says like instructions: complete the participation active or exercises in chapter one by the due date. Um, Now, I'm not going to really be paying attention for the due dates for the first couple because I know that a lot of people are still going to be trying to get registered on the system and everything. But the key here is that it's participation exercises. So participation exercises goes with reading. And in the Zybooks, if we go through here, this is like an interactive textbook. So there's animations to watch and little exercises to do. So like this is a participation activity. So it's part of the reading. And over here, this is empty. But if I watch this little animation, I might have to click play a couple times. Come on, one more time. Go. So when the animation completes, it's put the check mark there. And that's all that we had to do on this participation activity. So that's why I have it in an assignment called reading, because you're not really doing that much for the participation activities. They're not all, watching animations. Like if you scroll down here and it says like, consider the example above, the program has a total number of blank instructions. Now, this will make more sense if you read the text up there, but you can also scroll up here and go, well, that looks like one, two, three, four. So like maybe every line's an instruction. So if you type in a number, then you get that right. And so you got to check. Um, and if you get something wrong, it's no big deal. So like if I just pay no attention and I just typed something here and hit check, then it told me I'm wrong, but then it says incorrect, 7 plus 1 is, and we didn't actually do the assignment, so I don't know why we're doing 7 plus 1, but I still can do it and get the answer right. And last thing here again, I'm gonna just not read it. I'm just gonna type something to get through the thing. So I got them all right now, and I got my checkbox there. And so the participation activities are like this level of, kind of um, difficulty, and you just need to do them. And so that's like 20% of your grade is just kind of going through the Zybooks and making sure you complete all of these exercises, right? So like I clicked the button here, it gave me the check mark. Um, there are like multiple choice questions. And again, you can kind of just click them until you get them right. Probably, it's going to be in your best interests to, read them and actually do them right and learn something. Um, but that's all that participation activities are this kind of thing, like little multiple choice things. This one's a little more involved, but I'm going to skip it. Now, if I go back home here on the Canvas page and scroll down, you'll also see that there is week one homework, right? So if I click week one homework, it looks very similar to the week one reading. But I click week one homework, it takes me over to the Zybooks again. So this is looks just the same, right, as what we saw previously. So we're still looking at the same thing here, like section 1.2 reading. section 1.2 homework, right? Like the two tabs, you don't really see much change except right here. Um, you can do both of them at the same time, pretty much, right? You can just open it up and do everything in there. Now, the challenge activities, which is what the homework is, right? Week one homework, complete the challenge exercises in Zybooks Chapter 1. So the challenge exercises, that's not a participation activity. If I scroll down far enough, I'll find activities that are labeled as challenge activities. So challenge activities are blue, and those are the homework. So typically, the challenge activities, there's going to be far fewer of them. So they're usually just at the end of the section, and only some sections have them. And those are the ones where you kind of are actually going to be like doing programming on your own, and that kind of stuff. Now, obviously, we haven't even had a lecture on any of this yet, so you're not supposed to understand this. But I'll just do part of this challenge activity. So some of the challenge activities are reading code. Again, you're not supposed to understand it at this point, but we're reading code, and in order to get it right, you just have to um, type what the program is going to output. And in this case, this middle line here, system.out.print Sam is good, is literally going to print out Sam is good onto the screen. So if I just copy that and paste it right there, this is what's going to be output. And then I just hit check and it tells me, yeah, I was right. So if I go to a harder one, I'll go up like number 4 here. Um, and they're still asking, like, what is this program going to do? And so again, you're not supposed to understand it at this point because we haven't lectured on this stuff. But what's going to happen is if you look at the print statements, it's going to say system.out.print and is. So that's going to print out and is. There's a space after is. And then it says system.out print person age, but it's not going to print out the word person age because person age is actually up here. Person age is 23. So it's actually going to print out 23. And then the last one, system.out print, and then this is just a period. So it's going to print a period. So this program here, if you run it, is going to print out and is 23. And so you do that and you hit check, and we got it right. Now I'll get the next one wrong on purpose. So I just click to the next one here. Uh, this one is probably supposed to print, looking at it, Joe is person age, 22 years. So that was written by a non-native English speaker because, we don't usually say Joe is 22 years. Joe is, and I'm going to say 6 years old, right? That's wrong. If I hit check, then what'll happen here is it shows me what I wrote. Joe is 6 years old, and it tries to highlight where you got it wrong. Um, so that's what the highlighting is demonstrating. So I printed Joe is 6 years old, but the real answer was Joe is 22 years. So I typed 6, but I should have typed 22. I got old, but there's no old. So it was supposed to be that. So I try again, but they changed the problem. They give me a new problem. So I have to try it again. So I go, Sam is, um, and it says person age 20 years. So I try to type it this way, see if I get it right now. Hit check. I still got it wrong. And it tells me why. And they try to bring your attention to it. So the way I typed it, I typed a space here, right? I typed Sam is 20 space years, but it expected, so this is the right answer. Sam is 20 years with no space, right? And the thing is, they're not asking me to like how I should have written this program. They're asking, what does this program right here do? And so the thing is that we'll learn this, that it prints out the number here for person age, but then right here, like there's no space before the Y. Over on this side, there's a space here, after the is, but over on this side, there's no space before the Y. And so the actual thing that's going on is that they didn't put a space there. So it prints the number and then it prints years with no spaces. So you can get it right now, and then now I got it right. And you get it right and you get credit. Um, and so the challenge exercises are, again, more challenging. Um, but there's also less of them. And so every week you'll have some number of those to do. I think every week has them. There might be weeks where there's only like a couple to do, and there might be weeks where there's like, five in one section and five in another section and five in another section. So some weeks could have, quite a bit more homework. Just depends on the topic, um, how many challenge exercises they put in there. Um, yeah. So, are there any questions about how like this system works, I guess? Make sure to link your Zybook to your Canvas for it to count your work. Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is that you're not supposed to be able to um you're not supposed to be able to really go to Zybooks, register, and get enrolled in the class. Um, that shouldn't really be possible. So hopefully we won't have too many people do that. With other homework systems, it's a big issue. But the way this is supposed to work is you, from Canvas, access Zybooks. Like you click on an assignment and you go over to the Zybooks. Um, if you do that, and that's where you pay or that's where you type in your code, uh, it will absolutely link your Canvas account to the Zybooks account, and have everything work. Um, if you go to zybooks.com, right, and you're like not logged in or anything, like I just do this and I like tried to sign up this way, um, I might be able to do that, but I don't think I'll be able to actually access the course material that way. So maybe you can register for Zybooks, but you should not be able to get to the our class, hopefully. Um, so we should I hope we do not have a problem with students that are somehow on Zybooks but not getting the scores passed over. Now, having said, like while we're talking about that, we have had issues in the past where scores don't transfer over properly. And in fact, yesterday, for my other class here, every student that was like registering on Zybooks, because a few of them, just decided to do it right there in class. Here, let's violate privacy law. Click on grades. Nobody has any like grades at this point, right? So it's not a big deal. Um, but you can see that what happens here is like you see these zeros. These zeros are what happened as soon as students were like accessing Zybooks. And we do see that one of them's changed. And so I don't know why it put zeros in automatically, but um, there has been problems with scores transferring to Canvas. And we'll kind of just have to like, for now, just let everything happen the way it's going to happen. And 2 weeks from now, we can look at and see if your scores made it over properly or not, and we'll figure out a way to fix them if they're not transferring properly. Um, the worst case scenario is that I just have to go to Zybooks and export your scores and then um, basically put them into Canvas manually, which I've had to do before, but it's not ideal, obviously. So don't worry about the score in Canvas right now. If you do get registered on Zybooks, just say whatever happens to the Canvas gradebook is going to happen, and we'll look at it after some things are due and then try to fix it. Now, the other thing about Zybooks too, and maybe this is obvious, but it's not always obvious to everybody. These things should be saving your progress all the time. So like if I come back here to the homework and I scroll down, right, I still have, you'll see, I've got like this participation activity done from yesterday. I've got down in the challenge exercises, you see we did these first two and we did these last two. I didn't do number three for some reason. And you know your progress is maintained there. And so you should be able to um, you should just be able to continue on from wherever you left off. So any computer you have that has internet access should be fine for working on these, and you should be able to, do a little bit now, do a little bit tomorrow, and so on. One thing I will say is they changed the way that grades are transferred to Canvas, and I don't know how that's going to work. But one issue that people had was, like let's say you jump over, like I click on this link for week one homework and I go to Zybooks. Like imagine for a moment that instead of doing just the week one homework, let's say I do all of the week one reading, all of the week one homework. I go, I click up here, I go to week two. I just keep going and doing more work, right? Like I just start doing these exercises. Um, I'm getting points uh for like week two stuff. Well, I'm doing week two, but I never clicked on the week two assignment, right? Because there was no like week two assignment. And so one issue is that if you want a grade for week two, you can't just do chapter two in Zybooks. You're probably going to have to go to Canvas and actually click the link to like week two reading, week two homework. If you don't click the link to week two homework, then it won't know to send your score back to week two. Um, I think. At least that's the way it's been in the past, although they changed it this semester, they told me, and they said that everything is supposed to be better now. Um, but like I said, the only way to know how well Zybooks is doing at sending grades over to Canvas is to wait a couple weeks and then see if the grades all are making it or if the grades are not making it. Um, Questions, comments? Okay. So with that said, scrolling down here, I'm looking at the first week, and you look at the first week and you see these assignments here. First thing to do is make sure you do the introduce yourself assignment. So this is basically what I'm using to decide whether or not students are like actually they exist as people, and not just as, financial aid fraud, which we get a lot of students here. It's a big deal at Merced College and all the community colleges, because students can register for these classes from, anywhere in the state that a lot of students are fake students doing some kind of scam and they're signing up for classes at lots of schools uh, that they are not actually going to take. And so they're telling us that we need to have an assignment the first week that we can use to weed out students. And so that's what this introduce yourself assignment is for. Uh, Due Friday. It's just write a couple sentences so that I know that you exist. Okay, so that's the first thing you need to do. Um, Second thing you need to do is, if possible, although depending on your financial situation, it may not be, you want to try to get on the system, the homework system for Zybooks. So you just click on the week one reading, week one homework, and get started from there. You can look at chapter one without paying, but I believe your grades will not transfer to Canvas if you're doing that. Um, so you do need to take care of it relatively quickly, but you can still access week one and do those this week. And then the last thing you need to do is lab zero, which Lab Zero is basically getting the software set up. And I'm gonna, if I go to Lab Zero here, I just changed this right before class. So if you've looked at this previously, it's slightly different than it was. Um, but basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to try to get the software that we're going to be using for this class all semester installed. And there are instructions here that has, a few pictures, but not every picture like there's not a picture of absolutely everything. So like the text here is still important. You'll have to follow along. Also, there are kind of older videos up here that I've made for doing this in Windows and Mac OS for getting the software installed. Unfortunately, if you have only a Chromebook, then you probably should talk to me about like maybe we'll try to figure out some options that'll allow you to do the programming labs because the site that everybody used to use for just like an easy way to do programming in Java online, um, it, like at some point they started limiting free users, and then after they limited free users to very little, in a lot of ways that made it hard. They also kind of pivoted to just offering like AI powered like vibe coding stuff, and it doesn't really work. So we'll need to figure out a way to get you um, on something where you can do your assignment if you only have like a Chromebook to use for the class. If you have a Windows or Mac laptop or computer, then everything is great. If you use Linux, everything is great. It's only if you have like only a Chromebook or like an iPad or something that your life would be a little bit hard. And I don't really know what the best way uh, to do these labs is at this point, but we'll try to figure out something. Um, yeah, so I'll probably record a new video. There's old videos here, but I do try to update them at some point. So probably like maybe probably Thursday, I will change the videos in here and put out an announcement. Or you can just go through and do it now. But it's basically just trying to compile your first Java program and submit it is all you're doing here. And the older videos are still pretty much walkthroughs of the same process. They're just not new. Um, Questions about that? This is due like next Thursday, so you have a long time to figure it out. Okay. So that's just about everything I wanted to talk about. The only last thing I wanted to mention is that so going down here, there's like lecture one. I'm going to post this recording as the recording here and send out an announcement. The same announcement, I'll try to explain some of that stuff about Smart Start and the Helen Hansen code thing. And for lecture two, which again is optional, uh, there'll be a recording of that as well. I'm gonna probably do, well, not probably, I'll just do it at the same time as this. So Tuesday, 2 p.m., or sorry, Thursday, 2 p.m., I'll have a link here. And afterwards, there'll be a recording. And we'll be going over kind of history of computing and beginning Java, I guess. And there'll be some sort of lecture slides posted here for you to look at as well. But for the most part in this class, if you're able to do the Zybooks work, the Zybooks work is going to correspond with what's in the lectures. And so if you can do the Zybooks work okay, and you can get through the lab okay, there'll be video walkthroughs for all of the labs, then you're fine. So you can kind of choose to watch the videos or not as you choose. Um, yeah, so I think that's about it. There any questions before we go ahead and end this or what? All right. Well, I don't see any questions. So be on the lookout for an announcement from me just regarding some of what we just said. Specifically, announcement of the Zoom time for Thursday. I'll mention that I'm updating the video for Lab Zero and also stuff about the Zybooks code. And that should be coming later today. All right. Well, I guess that's it then. I see no questions.
Have a good day.
Yep, you too. Enjoy the rest of your week or day or whatever. How do I stop? Stop. Go away. Okay, there we go. There's the button.